La Gioconda, the woman who refused to vanish in the twilight glow of Renaissance Florence, where marble domes pierced golden skies and the scent of oil paints drifted through narrow alleys, lived a girl who would become the world's most unknowable enigma. Her name was Lisa Gherardini. But history would remember her only as a smile, a portrait behind glass, a ghost on canvas. What it never told you, what it never dared to tell, was that Lisa Gherardini was not a muse. She was a flame. Born in 1479 to a once noble but fading Florentine family, Lisa grew up in the shadow of power. Her father, Anton Maria, once dined with the Medici but now borrowed candles from neighbors. The Gherardini crest above their door had grown moss, and the tapestries inside their crumbling villa were full of moth holes. But in their daughter, they saw one last hope, a beautiful girl with high cheekbones and eyes like dusk. If beauty could not restore wealth, it could at least secure a good marriage. So, at the age of 16, Lisa was offered like a prize to Francesco del Giocondo, a wealthy merchant of silks and secrets, twice her age and thrice her pride. Their wedding was modest. Lisa wore a borrowed gown. Her mother wept into her sleeves, not out of sadness, but relief. Francesco, for all his wealth, was a cold man. His eyes weighed everything, even people. To him, Lisa was an acquisition, something to hang on a wall like imported velvet. But Lisa had never belonged to anyone. Not really. She began her married life as expected, smiling at guests, managing servants, birthing sons. But behind closed doors, she read books her husband brought back from Venice, dusty volumes in Arabic and Latin, books of anatomy, optics, philosophy. She hid them beneath her linen chest. By day she hosted merchant wives, by night, she argued silently with Galen, Ptolemy, Avicenna. The fire in her mind was like a lantern burning under silk, hidden, but fiercely alive. It was at a dinner hosted by a Florentine banker that she first met Leonardo da Vinci. He arrived late, dressed in black, his beard streaked with silver, eyes sharp like a falcon's. The room fell silent at his entrance, not out of reverence, but curiosity. Da Vinci was already infamous. Painter. Inventor. Anatomist. Heretic. Lisa watched him speak and felt the air around her shift. Later that evening, Leonardo approached Francesco. "I would like to paint your wife," he said without flattery. "Her face, it's not just beautiful. It's haunted." Francesco, who lived for prestige, agreed immediately. To be painted by Leonardo was a privilege reserved for dukes. He never asked Lisa if she wanted it. But she surprised him. She said yes, and then added a condition. "I will sit," she told Leonardo, "if you teach me. Teach me what you know." Leonardo studied her, then nodded once. He never refused a challenge. So began the sittings, long hours in a cold studio, her hands folded on silk, her posture still as marble. But the painting was only the surface of their partnership. As Leonardo mixed pigments, he taught her about perspective, light, the secrets of human anatomy. They discussed Plato and Paracelsus, the flight of birds, the illusion of time. She was not merely his subject, she was his student, his mirror. And he noticed things others didn't. The bruise on her wrist one morning. The flicker of pain when she turned her neck. He said nothing, but he adjusted the painting, raising the corners of her lips ever so slightly, adding ambiguity to her gaze. A smile that both dared and denied. Lisa, meanwhile, had begun sending letters. Secret messages written in cipher, passed to nuns, merchants, even jugglers. She was part of a quiet rebellion, a group of women scholars and thinkers known only as l'Ombre d'Artemisia, named after Artemisia Gentileschi, the painter who once avenged herself with a brush soaked in fury. The group preserved forbidden texts, smuggled girls out of abusive marriages, and whispered of a future where women didn't need permission to think. Francesco grew suspicious. One evening, he followed her to the convent of Santa Felicita, where Lisa handed a sealed letter to a nun with a scar over her brow. That night, he struck her. The next morning, she was gone. The city erupted. A merchant's wife vanishing without trace? Some said she drowned herself. Others whispered of a French nobleman. Francesco paid spies. But no one found her. Not even a slipper. Because Leonardo had hidden her. Dressed as a pageboy, Lisa fled Florence with a troupe of musicians. In Venice, she published essays under the pseudonym Lucia della Seta. In Rome, she debated scholars from behind a veil. In Milan, she passed blueprints to cartographers and maps to revolutionaries. She changed names like cloaks. But she never forgot who she was. Leonardo, now in France under the patronage of King François I, brought the painting with him. He called it La Gioconda, in mocking tribute to Francesco. But he never sold it. Not even to the king. Because the painting was more than art, it was a message. Hidden beneath layers of pigment were symbols, geometric codes, musical notations, even phrases written backward. Only those trained in Lisa's cipher could read them. The painting was a torch passed forward, to be found when the world was ready. When Leonardo lay dying in 1519, Lisa visited him in Amboise under the guise of a nun. She sat beside him as he took his last breath. Then she leaned toward the canvas, touched the edge of her smile, and whispered, "Let them wonder." She vanished again. Centuries passed. Wars were fought. Kings fell. The painting changed hands, survived revolutions, theft, and even Nazi occupation. But no one cracked its code. They called it mysterious. They called it genius. They called it a smile. And then, in 2025, in a lab beneath the Louvre, a digital art restorer named Amira Dowd scanned the painting with new multispectral technology. What she found sent shockwaves through the academic world. Behind the varnish, embedded in the folds of Lisa's gown, were Latin letters. Invisible until now. Translated, they read, "We were never muses. We were architects of thought." This is not a smile. It is a revolution. The Louvre made no public statement. But quietly, very quietly, emails were exchanged, encrypted messages revived. In Florence, beneath the archives of the Biblioteca Nazionale, a room lit by candlelight saw women gather once again, scholars, coders, poets, scientists. They called themselves l'Ombre di Artemisia. And above them, on the wall, hung a copy of the portrait. Not as art, but as a flag. She had never been just a woman. She had been a symbol. A rebel. A messenger through time. The Mona Lisa smiled. And the world was finally listening.